Hi there, it's Jen from modernmedicinelady.com and the Empathic Woman System, and the word of the day is volatility. So in the last 24 hours, I've been aware of a fair amount of reactivity, volatility, meanness even, and sometimes even outright attack. And I've been struck by how many circumstances are going on in the world around me where I'm seeing relationships and communication kind of breaking down and people just really kind of going for the jugular with each other. And so I was thinking about how certainly with all of the different things that are going on in the world right now, with the fact that we just had the Senate vote for the tax reform here in the United States, which has a lot of people really bummed out, and then a whole bunch of other people who are really psyched, as well as the fact that we're going into the holiday season right now. And so people are generally kind of stressed and overwhelmed. But to top that off, we are in the wake of a full moon in Gemini. And it wasn't just a full moon in Gemini, it was actually a supermoon. And what a supermoon is when the moon is closest to the planet, and it generally tends to be seen as or perceived as a larger moon than any other moon of the year. And this supermoon in particular has meant for a lot more intensity. Now, this moon is also in Gemini. And Gemini, the zodiac sign of the twins, the creative, wonderful, imaginative side of Gemini is all about that getting out our imagination and getting out our ideas and expressing our deepest, wildest, most amazing thoughts. But the other side of Gemini is that there's the duality of the twins in Gemini. And a lot of times there's the fact that as human beings, more often than not, we have dual feelings about nearly everything. That while there may be one part of us that perceives something one way and thinks about something in one way, more often than not, there's at least one opposing thought or feeling that is believing something entirely different about the exact same thing. And while rationally our mind may not be on board with more than one thought, subconsciously it's very possible for us to carry around a lot of different opposing ideas and feelings about things, as well as beliefs. So when we're dealing with a full moon, the moon being the planet that or celestial body, to be more accurate, that rules our emotions, in Gemini, that's going to mean that it's going to draw up and out a lot of the stuff that's kind of buried under the surface that's making us tick about the places where we might have ambivalence, where we might have dual feelings, where we might be experiencing a lot of different ways of looking at the world around us, and bring all of that up to the surface. But on top of that, not only are we in the wake of a supermoon, we are also on like day one of full-blown Mercury Retrograde in Sagittarius right now. Now, Mercury Retrograde, if you're not already familiar, is that lovely time that happens about 3 times every single year when it is not business as usual. Mercury being the planet that rules communication and technology, when it goes retrograde, ordinary communication, ordinary technology, the things that we just sort of take for granted most of the time, it tends to go sideways when Mercury goes retrograde. Now, it means that often we have the ability to dive deep, to look inward at ourselves, to get things. I find it's a great time to clean out my inbox, and that there are things that are possible to do when Mercury is retrograde. But it also can really put a wrench in the works of our communication. Top that off with the fact that it's in Sag. Now, Sagittarius is the archer, and the archer brings a great deal of positive qualities, adventurousness and boldness, the maverick who goes after their dreams, as well as the archer who sights their goal, puts their eye on their goal, takes that arrow, aims at it, and hits it. But the other side of Sagittarius is that Sagittarius can be impulsive, and Sagittarius can also have quite a temper. And in the same way that that bow and arrow can be used to aim for the thing that you want, it can also be aimed at another person, and it can cause some collateral damage, because a Sag has an ability to really hit the mark with their sort of acidic wit as well as their temper. And so right now, where we've got this communication breakdown happening with Mercury retrograde, we are all going to be a little bit more vulnerable to being volatile and to actually being kind of mean. And so if you noticed in the last like 24, 36, 48 hours that you're flying off the handle more, that you're reacting more, that you're just sort of getting pissy much more easily, that is partially, I believe, due to the fact that we're dealing with a full moon in Gemini and Mercury retrograde in Sag at the exact same time. So in my experience, the thing about this is that mindfulness is the key for riding through this, paying close attention and noticing how I am responding, how I am behaving, and essentially when I start to find myself reacting to things, when I find myself starting to want to fly off the handle or to just basically get pissed off about something, I have the opportunity to check myself before I wreck myself, which I think is incredibly important. So this word of the day in many ways is kind of a PSA, because essentially what I'm saying is right now there's a lot going on between holidays, between all of the stuff going on the planet and politically in America and celestially with the full moon and Mercury retrograde, that's going to cause many of us to feel a lot more vulnerable and volatile. And I think the most important thing we can do is really be clear about whether we want to jump into the fray and engage in something that could cause harm to ourselves or another, and whether we want to really be caught up in the thick of argumentativeness and volatility and just reactivity, or if we want to sort of pull back and circle our sort of emotional wagons and kind of send our roots down and just really be mindful of our own personal behavior right now. So my question to you right now is, how are you doing? How is this time in the world affecting you right now? Are you noticing that you're feeling more volatile? Are you noticing that you're maybe a little bit more reactive than usual? And are you noticing that maybe there's a part of you that is inclined to jump into the fray if you see some kind of a conflict going on around you? And how can you take care of yourself through this? What do you really want to do? Do you want to keep, do you want to keep jumping in? If there is a conflict and you've been jumping in, is that what you want to do? Or would you prefer to pull back and sort of ride out the storm? So I'd love to hear what you have to say about all of this. Please leave a comment below. And until next word of the day, I am wishing you peace, I'm wishing you ease, and I am wishing you the grace to ride through this Mercury retrograde with your relationships and your temper intact. So in the meantime, please like my Facebook page, Modern Medicine Lady, and I will be eternally grateful for your help to get this video out into the world. Please like it, please share it, and please pass it along to other people who find it useful. Thank you so much, and until tomorrow, peace.